back for the Goodbye Amaroo Park race meeting. We've got grinning up right at the moment the combined sedans trophy race. This is a mixture of a lot of different sedans that here at Amaroo Park, so everyone managed to get a race at this event. And we've got David Krause on pole position at 54.04. Second position on the grid, we've got Cam Warner making a return, and Cam hasn't been here for a while. He used to run production cars, and he's one that just won't miss out on the last Amaroo race meeting. Engines going, and we've got a big start, a big Falcon out on the outside. Krause got a beaut run up the hill, and we've also got Warner, and that Falcon, that ought to get its legs going. The big 351 should get up the hill pretty quick. We've got cars everywhere, and with me in commentary, Colin Bond. He's spent a lot of time around Amaroo Park, and some of it in a Torana, Cole.
We surely did. I see David Krause out in front in the Holden and is absolutely rocketing away in this field. It's a very nice motor car, that particular motor car, when you had a chance to look at it. It's got a V6 Chevy motor in it, which is quite unusual, of course, but it's set well back. Big tyres, fairly light car for what it is. It performs very well, and David drives it extremely well, actually. He's only young. Ron Krause, of course, his father's been around in motorsport for many years and that, but he's doing a great job out in front.
Yeah, Stephen Mantle there in the Commodore. We've got someone go. That wasn't Krause there on the side. It looked like someone just speared off the track. Not too sure who it was. It was just out of shot. Looked a lot like an E.H. Holden. But anyway, as they head up the hill, we've got XU1 Toranas. We've got some Mazdas. We've got street cars. We've got Alphas. Everyone gets a run here at this last event, because we didn't want to send anyone home without the opportunity of driving around Amaroo Park for the last time. And Steve Mantle there putting a fair bit of pressure on. Big Falcon there in third.
That's Cam Warner. I mean, he got, slowed at the beginning of the race. He's obviously going to go faster than these guys, but he sort of ran into the back of the Holden down the stop go last time.
There's Krause. Yeah, he must have put him off. I think you're
Did
right.
he really?
Because now you see, now you don't, now you see him again.
Exactly.
Something might have. Oh, a big lock up there. Krause, he's got a point to prove, and I know Ron Krause, his dad certainly gets into it, and I think that runs in the family, because Krause, David, is really having a big go to try and make up his little indiscretion at stop corner.
Yeah, and Warner just picked up another place, but I think Krause has come up the inside of both of them. No, he just got one. That's car number 20, which is actually Mike Dwyer. And here goes Krause. He's back in the lead. I mean, gosh, he spun the car, obviously. We didn't see it. Dropped quite a few places. But the performance of that particular motor car in this race is quite staggering when you compare it the way it's going around the corners. The Falcon, very skinny tyres in comparison. It's not really a sports sedan, I don't think. That Falcon looks like it's a bit modified, but obviously nowhere near as much as what David Krause's car is. Yeah,
I think you probably need to modify a big Falcon like that a fair bit to try and get it around a tight circuit like Amaroo. But Cam's done it, I think, in various Nissans and Datsuns and whatever else, and just watching these two guys in the Toranas, wheel to wheel, nose to tail, around Amaroo Park, those brings back a few memories of some of the races and dices we used to see with these style of cars back in the 70s, Colin.
Well, it was, and I must admit that the XU1s, which these ones are, of course, on the Falcon behind the old Phase 3, that used to be, the classic sort of motor racing, in the 70s, where you'd have a big V8 like the Fords. Bathurst, they'd romp past the old XU1s, but the XU1s would pull them back in the corners, and the same thing happens around this particular circuit, of course. Around here, obviously, the XU1s seem to, almost have their measure most of the times, particularly, for the first few laps, I guess, while the Fords still had pretty good tyres on their cars, but as the race progressed, their tyres would start to slip and slide, and the XU1s would just be able to drive under them eventually, and there's a couple of XU1s look great, actually. I must admit, going around there, and everyone's doing a pretty good job. The cars are sliding, they're correcting the slides, braking, not locking up too many brakes, but well, just saying that, and one's done it in the background, but no, these two are really good.
Yeah, that's there's O'Loughlin in the big Falcon. I haven't seen or heard much of him, but he's obviously got some sort of talent, because it's no easy feat to get one of those things around here, and he doesn't seem to be putting too many feet wrong. He's run a little bit wide in a few places down around the loop, but I guess that's a legacy of the weight of the car and the tyres. You're probably getting an absolute caning. But the two little XU1s, the motors sound sweet as they head up the hill, and the big Falcon there ranging up behind is Wayne corners there that just led it up the hill then. And these guys obviously have turned them out very, very nicely. Very well presented cars, these little Toranas. And you can see them all there with the big Falcon in the middle, certainly making a nice little package there, because it's really is a good circuit to match horsepower and handling. When the horsepower heads up the hill, the handling takes over down the other side.
Exactly. I can always remember, you know, racing the XU1s, particularly at Amaroo Park, and Bobby Morrison in those days, you know, myself used to have really good races. And one day Peter Brock turned up, you know, it was on our territory, and we sort of told Peter, you got over the top of the hill flat out, didn't have to brake, you know. And he did. so then we all had to get
well, that one backfired, didn't it? Yeah, going back to the racing we're watching on screen as David Krause goes up the crest of the hill in the E8 with the V6 Chevy in it. It's a car that only just managed to put together. I don't think the Chevy motor's been in it very long. As far as I can work out, it's only just been dynoed, but it certainly seems to be a successful combination, Cole.
Well, it is. I mean, as I said before, I think Ron's, you know, been very motorcars for a long time, and now his son's sort of taking over the job of driving the car. I know he's helped run the car, and he used to do a lot of tough events. He's now just sort of going in and starting doing these major races, and I think just about the last 12 months, and he's doing a great job. You know, he's well out in front. He's got this race really under control, and you know, even if he has another spin, I'm sure he can get back and win, because we've already seen him spin once, drop a few places and get back in the lead. So he's certainly got all their measure. Two little XU1s here, still driving hard. The Falcon's behind, the other XU1 all sliding onto the short straight before you come through the nice right-hand corner. Very close to the army code fence. This is where the people stand, by the way, you know, and give all the pit signals. It must be the most dangerous place in the world to give pit signals, but luckily the years that it's been on, it's always a great spectacle watching cars come through that corner.
Yeah, I think that'd be two people that are standing on that fence. I think one or two might have topped a bit of debris once in a while. But one thing I'm really going to miss about this place is when you do come onto the straight, and you know you've done a good lap because you've come about a half an inch from the wall, or maybe even quick the wall, and you see all the guys in the pit crew all run away from the fence, and you figure, oh, that must have been a quick lap.
Exactly.
But as these guys are cresting the hill here, heading down into the loop for one of the last times at Amaroo Park, you've got to wonder whether when you come down into this part of the circuit, first timer as some of these guys are, and that's downhill, and it really takes a bit of effort, I suppose, to keep your foot down and really concentrate on getting a fast run downhill.
Yeah, Amaroo was always a very, I always felt tyre-sensitive track. You know, when you had grip with your tyres, you could get a really fast time in, but that ain't lasted a few laps. Then the cars, like you're seeing now, started to slide, and it just took a lot of throttle control just to actually keep the car just on the amount of throttle you needed to keep it fairly straight and square, because if you just drive it sideways all the time, eventually you just absolutely finish up. That's slow if you get past, and this is what's actually happening here with the Ford. The Ford sort of struggling, actually putting its power down, not trying to make it oversteer. The other two XU1s are getting away, but he's holding up the other XU1 that's directly behind him.
Yeah, interesting combination or comparison, because we just saw going out of shot then the other Ford, and that's the one that's driven by Cam Warner. He's managed to pull away a little bit, and you look at 142, number 142, which is Des O'Loughlin in the other Ford, and he's having a fair bit of trouble. And when I mentioned before that Cam Warner's been around here for quite a while, it does take, you can start to see a bit of difference in the experience. That Cam's not working the tyres quite so much, whereas this one really seems to be getting a bit of a workout around here, and it does pay off, doesn't it?
Oh, certainly. You can sort of see him struggling to actually get the power on. But once he gets it straight, he sort of romps away a little bit from XU1. But mind you, that kink at this particular time in the afternoon, you know, when the tyres are going off, that kink becomes a bit of a corner too, I can assure you.
Yeah, I found it was quite a corner once when I got a touch going through there and managed to go up there a fair way, a fair bit of opposite lock on it. And just looking there, that was Michael Cabbage in the little Torana. And there's a few names around the place that second generation race drivers coming through, and just looking through the field, you see a lot of people that are going back to Krause, and they've come through carts, and they've taken up, I guess you could call it almost grandfather's axe, because Ron used to run that E.H. Holden many years ago, and now David and the other son Ed, who've moved through go-karts, and David here having a go in the E.H. this weekend, and it is a bit of a proving ground, I suppose, because it starts to run in the family.
Sure. The other problem you've got, I think, with this circuit, because it's a fairly short circuit and there's a lot of right-hand corners, the poor old back tyre, particularly that left-hand back one, is sort of getting a big work over. Not too bad going through this, you know, left-hand corner, but when he starts going right, you can just sort of see that then wants to slide, and, you know, he's struggling. You can see him working the wheel there, you know, frantically. And you're virtually just trying to get the power back on, but you can't. And until the car gets slightly straight, now you get back on, and it wants to skew, and you're getting through that kink. And this right-hand corner down here, which is a fantastic corner, you know, you can get through there nice and fast. That's not the way you do it.
On the track usually.
Oh no, well you don't brake late like that. But it's just that now that, you know, the tyres have just lost a lot of their grip they had originally. Even when you brake like that, they're locking brakes. But no, these two are having a lot of fun. They're sort of enjoying their motorsport. The cars look good. This one's driving extremely well, I must admit. You know, he sort of gets into it, cabbage, doesn't he? And,
just looking at him through Mazda corner, then dropping a few wheels on the dirt. Didn't faze him though. He gathered it all up again and still managed to press on. He didn't back off that much, and he hasn't lost a whole lot of ground. So maybe he's an ex-rally driver or something.
No, but I think you'll find though, by the time they exit the loop on that again, he'll sort of catch up to the Falcon. And this is what was always a hassle, I guess. You know, you have a V8 sort of motor car that went really good in a straight line, then you get a little six-cylinder car like this, which is quite nimble, but they're always difficult to pass the V8s, of course, you know, unless their tyres did go along. But now we're getting back towards some of the tail enders. It must be getting very close to the finish of the race now too, and we haven't seen Dave for a while, but I'm sure that David Krause and the UH is well out in front, doing it quite nicely. Yeah,
I'm not too sure where we are in the field just now. There's Krause on screen, heads up the hill, a little bit of tail. Actually, it's sort of hopping around a little bit to the back. I'd say that there's probably going to change a few things related to the balance of the car after putting the Chevy motor in from the straight six that they used to have in it. So there's probably a bit of suspension work to be done on Krause's V8, but it doesn't seem to be affecting it that much. He's getting into it and really sort of pressing on, and coming up to Mazda corner, nice, neat. Seems to have a fair bit in reserve, actually. He's not really using all the road.
Well, it is his last lap, I think, and, you know, he's obviously got this one sewn up.
Yeah, he doesn't have to press on all that hard, I guess, Cole, and very sensible drive in the end. He's taking care of the machinery, just working it down on the last couple of corners, and David Krause hops around a bit in the seat. I tell you what, it looks pretty harsh suspension in the back of that car. As the little Mazda goes off, who was that? Cowan, I think, went spearing off on the infield, and we have a checkered flag for David Krause. He managed to keep out of trouble out of that last lap incident and takes a fantastic win in the combined sedans trophy race. Second, we got Cam Warner in the big Ford GT, and then Mike Dwyer in the little Torana GTR. Back at Amaroo.